And we're going to start with a little bit of listening. So welcome in the sound of the bell. Welcome in the sounds where you are, the sounds around your space, around your home. And it doesn't matter if it's very noisy in your home or very peaceful in your home. Either way, welcome in whatever it is that you can hear. And see if you can cast your attention a little bit further afield. And welcome in the sounds maybe just outside your window, in the world outside. And then gather your attention right back in and welcome the sound of your breath. And you can enjoy a nice, slow, centering breath. You can align your attention with the center line of your body and slowly guide your breath in. Slowly guide your breath out with a feeling of letting go. And then just normal breathing, let your breathing settle. And turn your attention to what you can feel. So connecting with touch sensation. What is it that you're sitting on or lying on? What's its texture? Which parts of your body are in contact with support? And maybe you have clothing or blankets against your skin, and how do they feel? And can you feel the touch of your breath inside your nostrils? It could be cooler on the inhalation, could be warmer on the exhalation. Are there sensations of warm or cool anywhere else in your body? And again, enjoy a nice, slow, centering breath. So aligning your attention with the center line of your body. Slowly breathing in. Slowly breathing out with a feeling of letting go. And then normal breathing, natural breathing. And you could connect with your senses of smell and taste. Lick your lips or run your tongue along your teeth. And please feel very welcome if you have something nice to eat, something nice to taste, to pop it in your mouth. It's quite acceptable to enjoy this evening yoga practice with like a chocolate button on your tongue or something like that, a little bit of Easter egg. Have a nice sweet taste in your mouth. Sweet tastes can be very grounding. Continuing to be aware of the breath in the body. And then one more time in your own time when you feel like it's just the right time. Enjoy a slow and centering breath. So slowly breathing in. And slowly breathing out with a feeling now of having arrived in this place at this time. Body, mind, and breath. And I'd like you to continue to be aware of your breath. And if you are familiar with the Ujjayi breath, where you're letting there be a slight rubbing sensation in the back of your throat as you breathe, you might like to use that breath. You breathe in and out through your nostrils. If your nose is all blocked up, or you're not familiar with that breathing, or it just is not a breath that you feel comfortable with, don't worry. Normal breathing is fine, and actually in some ways maybe normal breathing is better. And what you might find actually is that your breath quite naturally adapts as we go through this practice. The most important thing is to be aware of your breath, and then to allow these movements that we're about to do to coordinate with your breathing. So the first one is to clench your toes. It's like you curl your toes in. So as if you were gripping a pencil with under the toes of each foot, and then you stretch your toes out, like you're trying to open up the gaps in between the toes. And we're going to do this movement this evening, exhaling to clench the toes, curl the toes, and then inhaling to open them. And be aware it really is a movement just of the toes, just the toe joints themselves, so the ankles stay quite still. It's not what we would usually describe as pointing the toes. It really is a kind of curling the toes or clenching the toes. So you open your toes up as you breathe in, and then you curl or clench the toes as you breathe out. So there can almost be a sense of inviting more breath into the body through the gaps in between the toes. And then any goodness, vitality, energy that you get from the breath, you squeeze it in on the exhalation. So you're locking it within you, gathering up vitality, gathering up energy, opening the toes on the inhalation, and then curling them in on the exhalation. And you'll see I'm sitting here doing this practice seated, but it's absolutely doable from a horizontal position. So all you're moving is your toe joints, really quite slowly, with the rhythm of your breath, open on the inhale, closing on the exhale. And just one more time, so really squeezing the toes as you exhale, and then let your toes relax and give them a little wiggle. And now we're going to move on to what you might normally describe as pointing the toes or opening the fronts of the ankles. So you point the toes away from your face, let the fronts of the ankle joints open, and then moving the ankles the opposite way, pressing into the heels and bringing the toes towards your face, closing the front of the ankles. So we're going to inhale to open the front of the ankles and exhale to close. And the front of the ankle joint itself is really quite an interesting little space. The skin there is quite soft and there's almost like a little indentation there. You can think of it a bit like a door that you can open and close. So as you inhale, you open the door and you welcome more life in, more breath, more energy in. And as you exhale, will you close the door behind you and keep the energy in, keep the vitality in. So our intention with this practice is to welcome more vitality into the body through our practice. Opening the front of the ankles on the inhale, closing on the exhale. Each of these movements, by the way, can be done very much with the eyes closed, if you prefer. So your inner gaze, if you like, and your attention, the fire of your perception, is attached to the sensations in the body as you move. So you might really be paying attention to how this movement feels in your ankles. And also to know that you're in charge with these movements of how much effort you put in. It can be quite a small movement, it can be quite a big movement. My suggestion is that you don't do 100% of what's possible. So you stay a little bit behind what you might think of as your edge or what you're capable of. Because we can all do more, we're all really good at that, pushing ourselves hard. Can we do a bit less? Stay within our limits. Okay, and then let that movement stop, maybe give your ankles a little bit of a shake out. And now moving both feet together, we're going to take the ankles around in a little circle. And I'd like for you, if possible, to move both feet in the same direction. So you're going to circle the feet around at the ankle joints halfway as you breathe in and halfway as you breathe out. Both feet moving in the same direction, like the hands on two simultaneous clocks. And I feel already, I'm doing this seated, and I feel already that my knees want to get involved as well. So I'm putting my hands on my knees, to remind my knees that it's not their turn yet. I'm working with my ankles and my ankles only. I'm going to keep the knees quite still. Halfway with the inhale, halfway with the exhale. And it can be the Ujjayi breathing if you're familiar with that, or just a nice normal natural breath. Or maybe what you're needing at this point in the day is like a bit of a yawn. That counts as exhalation. And the inhale that follows halfway around with the ankles. And then the rest of the way around. So keep the breath comfortable. And what I like to say with practices like this is if it gets stressful trying to coordinate the movement with the breath, don't stop breathing. Stop moving. So if you get confused at any point, don't stop breathing. Please just stop moving, let the breath settle, and then join back in. We're going to circle the ankles the opposite way. Halfway with the inhale, halfway with the exhale. So all that energy and vitality you welcomed into the body through your toes and through your ankles, now you're swirling it around. Swirling it around, so you kind of almost a feeling that you can pump it up your legs. Swirling it around. Soft movements, coordinated with breath. And then letting that movement come to a close. Pause here and pay attention to the sensations in your feet, in your toes, in the arches of your feet, in your ankle joints. Yoga is a process of action and then reflection. So we do something and then we pause and we wonder, well, how does that feel now? What sensations do I feel now? Now moving on, I'd like you to pick one leg, and it doesn't matter which one, so just use your intuition, pick one leg and you're going to bend the knee. So sitting, you just bend the knee in towards your body like I am now. Lying, similar thing, you're just bending your knee in towards your chest. And you might give the kneecap a little bit of a rub. And we want to do some sort of movement to straighten the leg and then bend the knee. So for example, from sitting, I might do something just like this. Let the leg straighten and then bend the knee back up. I can make it a little bit more of an exercise by holding the back of the leg open and then bending the knee in close. And lying down, you can slide your leg along the floor, or you could be straightening your leg, extending your heel towards the ceiling, and then bending your knee in towards the chest. So you find a movement that is comfortable for you and that you feel you can work with your knee joint. So the idea is to open and close the joint. And continuing with a similar theme, I'd like you to inhale and open, and exhale and close. And we'll continue in that way. Inhale, open, and exhale, close. So welcoming the inhale and all the life and energy that comes into the body with it. And on the exhale, there's a sense of gathering or closing, locking that vitality in. And we'll do this movement just once more. And then, bringing your knee in towards your chest, we want to do something to open the hips. So sitting, I suggest you hold your foot and your knee and just give your leg a little rock, like you were rocking a little baby, so you get some movement. Lying, you might hold onto your knee and do a little bit of a circle. So the movement itself, in a way, doesn't really matter. It's about the fact there is some movement at your hip and you're really aware of how it feels. And if there's a way of coordinating it in some way with your breath, that's even better. If you're sitting like I am and you feel like it would be a nice thing to do, you can put your foot in your elbow and squeeze the foot right in towards your chest. A stronger sensation in the hip. Some of you might well be able to take your foot and put it right behind your head, but I can't. So go for it if that's you. It's something to open your hip, mobilize your hip. And we're working with our own range of motion. Yeah, you can't do this wrong unless you're in pain. So ease off if anything's painful or uncomfortable. We're going to make a little half butterfly. So I'm going to put my foot down against the opposite thigh. And this is a really interesting movement I'd like you to explore. So lying down again, you just let your hip open out to the side. Some people like to flutter, so you can flutter this little wing. Some people like to stretch, like you're pressing the knee down a little bit, getting some stretch in this inner thigh. Some people have no stretch. Their hips are so open, the ligaments are so soft that actually you need a little bit of containment. You want to bring the knee in and up. So part of this practice now is finding out what happens to you when you do this movement. Is it very comfortable? Does it feel like it needs a stretch? Does it feel like it needs support? Be curious. And if it's possible to have a little bit of movement there, just to wiggle into the joint, lovely. Little flutter, butterfly wing. And then use your hand to guide your knee back in and up. And straighten out that leg that you've been working on. Maybe you give it a little shake from the hip, a little wiggle. And then again, pause. So still symmetrical position. You can close your eyes. And be curious about the sensations in both of your legs. Compare and contrast. Right side and left side and right side. See what you might be able to feel. Feet, ankles, knees, hips. And then we're going to move on to the other side and give the other side the same treatment. So starting by bending your knee, you give the knee a little bit of a rub, some touch, some warmth. And then something to open and close the knee. So just reminding you the various options. You might simply straighten the leg and then bend up the knee from a sitting or a lying position. Or you can make a little basket with your hand support behind your knee with opening and closing in that way. If you're lying down and you want more challenge, you can extend your heel up towards the ceiling and then bend the knee towards the chest. And can you inhale to open and exhale to close. And as you inhale and open, you might also very slightly open your toes, open the arch of your foot, and exhale, closing, gathering in. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. It's like how a flower might open up its petals in the daytime, like a daisy, and then it closes them down in the nighttime and conserves its energy. Bit like that, your leg now, opening on the inhale, and then closing on the exhale, the feeling of gathering or conserving energy. So just one more movement for your knee, and then something for your hip. So sitting, maybe you catch your knee in your foot and kind of rocking your other baby the other side. Or lying, you can hold your knee and circle your knee around. Some sort of hip movement. It can be eyes closed, so you're most interested in what is the movement at your hip. Maybe you've got a lot of movement in this hip. Maybe you don't feel like you have much movement in this hip. So use what you've got. Find something that you can do. We're trying to mobilize our joints and work with our own range of movement. And in some way have the body and the mind and the breath all working on the same project. So you're moving this part of your body in coordination with your breathing, or aware of your breathing, and then paying attention to that. So your mind is completely engaged in this activity. So remembering sitting people, if you like the idea of putting your foot in your elbow, hugging that foot right in towards your body. Or for those who can, taking your foot up behind your head, or whatever, little movements here is good for you. And then we're going to do our little butterfly wing on this side. So this side might well feel quite different from the other. Maybe you want to put some weight and stretch, maybe it needs a bit of containment. pillows on this side. Maybe it's nice to let it flutter. Maybe it's not nice to do this movement at all, so don't do anything just because I told you to. You see what's doable. Flutter, or you can open and close. Sensation in the hip on this side. And then using your hand to guide the knee back in. Straighten the leg. And coming back to a symmetrical position, pause again, pause. Not doing anything in particular, just being interested. Well, how does that all feel now in my feet and my knees and my ankles and my hips? And I'm hoping that what you might feel, it feels different to everyone, and I don't want to put words in your mouth at all, or words in your head, but I'm hoping you can feel something, and I'll tell you how it feels in my body. It feels like a sort of energizing or enlivening, like I can feel a tingly sensation in my joints. And in my body, it often feels a little bit cool, but I've heard people tell me that in their body, it feels warm. So how it feels in your body is how it feels in your body. It might not feel like anything at all, but if you can trust me with this energizing feeling, what I want to do now is take that feeling that I've brought into my legs and kind of sucked up my legs and swirl it around in the pelvis. So we're going to start a kind of circular movement. I like to do it with my legs straight, and you can imagine you're holding a big wooden spoon and you're stirring a big pot. So if you like that feeling, you can with me stir the pot, noting that it's a circular movement. So you go halfway as you inhale and halfway as you exhale. It might well be more comfortable for you with your knees bent. And that works. And if you are lying down, you can stir the pot of your pelvis with your knees towards your chest and taking your knees around in a nice circle like that, or both knees going in opposite directions now and stirring the pot of your pelvis like that. So we've got different options. Halfway with your inhale. Halfway with your exhale, and then after the next breath, change your direction. So you've been circling one way, now you're going to circle back the other way. Movement and breath coordinated. Stirring the pot or circling the knees. And then finding your way back to your center, to the middle. So you let your circular movement come to a close. And pause. Welcoming sensation from the hips, lower back and lower belly. And then we're going to mobilize the spine, either from all fours and a little bit of cow and cat. But I'm conscious of the horizontal people and want you to know that if you're very happy lying down and have no interest in sitting up just now, you could do a cat and cow movement lying on your back. Like this. So you're trying to mobilize your spine. In this position, I'm making a little space at my lower back, and then I'm pressing my lower back to the floor. The pelvis is rolling forward and back. And if I flip that over, that's all I'm doing, just flipping it over, bringing it this way around, same idea. So my pelvis is dropping back. In this position, I like to imagine I've got a tail tucking between my knees. And then my pelvis is tilting forward, and if I had a tail, it would stick up in the air. And however you do it, however you're mobilizing your back now, let your eyes close and let the movement synchronize in some way with your breath. And let that be very intuitive. So see how that works in your body. Some people like to open the front of the body when they inhale and open the back of the body when they exhale. And for some people, it's more intuitive to do the opposite. So for this evening, I'd like you to be working with what feels intuitive, what feels easiest, what feels most natural. Where's the ease? Where's the nourishment? Where's the juice? And we're going to complete this little bit of movement with child's pose, if that's comfortable for you. Or laying out on your belly, if that's more comfortable for you than child's pose. Or if you're already lying down on your back, all you need to do is stop moving. Or you might like to roll over and lie on your belly. So for some people, lying on our fronts is just the most wonderful. Oh, what a nice place to arrive. For other people, it's more awkward. Since you all got lots of pillows ready, you hopefully got a pillow or a cushion handy you could put, if you need a bit of support on your front under your hips and lower belly, or more, 1, 2 or more pillows. And what that does is usually give a little bit more space for the head and neck. I've got my head turned to one side so that you can hear what I'm saying. But if it's better for you, you can tuck your chin and rest your forehead. If you're happy in child's pose, you can stay in child's pose. I'm wondering if you can feel how your lower belly is supported. So in a prone position, supported on your pillow or supported on the floor. In child's pose, can you let your lower belly be supported by your top thighs? So the lower belly is supported, but as a result, it's also slightly squashed. And you might feel really quite clearly the movement of breath there. It's like at the end of the inhale, the belly button kisses the floor, or kisses your top thighs. And by the end of the exhale, the belly button's lifting up and back towards the spine. So you can let your eyes close and see if you can watch that movement, the belly button moving down towards the floor on the inhalation and then drawing back in and up on the exhalation. Like massage from the inside out. And then leaving your belly quite quiet, so we don't need to deliberately belly breathe or make the breath deep or anything like that. Leaving the belly quite quiet, move your awareness more into your upper back. And invite a softness into the upper back, like you could just welcome your breath now into the skin on the upper back. And see if you can feel anything happening there. Letting the back lungs open a little bit. I'm going to stay just another 30 seconds or so like this. And then come up and set up our cocoons for a longer relaxation. So easing your way up to sitting when you're ready. From your belly or from child's pose. And we're going to set up this supta baddhakonasana. I'm going to show you a few different options. So there's a fair amount of what I like to call faffing about here. and I'm going to show you a few different things. So first off, some of you might have yoga bolsters. I know some of you do have yoga bolsters at home. So if you've got a yoga bolster, you've got a little bit of a head start here, because you can just use your yoga bolster and ideally prop it up a little bit. So I've got a brick, but I'm not even going to use that because I've also got some books. Some, you know, yoga bricks are great, but a couple of books off your shelf, or even a cushion or a tin of beans or something like that, just to prop the end of the bolster up. So if you've got a bolster at home and you can just set that up, ta-da, great. You've got a head start, and then you'll have extra blankets. Many people don't own a yoga bolster. So, if you do not have a yoga bolster, I'm hoping what you do have is a big pile of blankets, at least 4, which was suggested to prepare for this session. And you want to fold the blankets kind of yoga bolster shape. So, kind of long and thin, not too thin, slightly thinner than your width of your body. Slightly thinner than your back. So you can gauge, you'll know what size of person you are. So if you're bigger than me, your blankets might want to be a little bit wider than mine. And if you're smaller than me, your blankets might want to be a little bit narrower than mine. And we're going to lay the blankets down in such a way that we create a slope, just like I did a minute ago with that yoga bolster. So what I have done, I feel like Blue Peter when they say, here's one I prepared earlier. So I prepared a number of blankets earlier, and not only that, I've colour coordinated so you can see the difference between my bottom blanket and then the second one, which doesn't go exactly to the edge of the first one. So I've made a little bit of a step, and then I get my third one, same shape. So I folded all the blankets the same shape, and these blankets all happen to be a similar size and texture. That's great if you can do that, but it doesn't matter too much. I'm stair-stepping them, and that's my 4. And 4 might well be enough, but what I want to tell you is when you try this position in a minute, if it feels like there's a lot of pressure in your lower back, just keep adding blankets. So you can, if you've got 16 blankets, just keep adding them up. You're going to make a lovely big stair-step slope, and it will be really comfortable. So the more you add, if I've got more, the more you add, I think the more you're going to enjoy it. So sometimes less is more, and sometimes more is more, more is better. So if you got it, flaunt it. If you've got the blankets, use the blankets. So you make this nice slope. And we're going to use the slope or the propped bolster to lie back on in a slightly reclined position. So one of the advantages of doing this is it kind of helps the lungs open, the chest open. And it would be perfectly acceptable. And maybe it will be preferable for some of you just to have your legs straight out in front of you and to lie back on this stair-step blanket. And then you put a cushion, or you can fold in the edge of the blankets to catch your head, so your head feels supported. So this is first stage. That might be enough. That might be all you need right now. You can pop your eye pillow on or cover up your eyes, close your eyes, and maybe you're done. If you want a little bit more, what I suggest you do, having tested your slope, is you get your pillows involved. So I have got with me 2 pillows. These are just normal bed pillows, and 2 cushions. And the reason I've got these pillows and cushions is so that I can support my legs in bound angle pose, baddhakonasana or butterfly pose. So you can try this out, both knees together, little flutters. And for this relaxation, we don't want to be stretching. So I'm not trying to set up this pose to stretch my inner thighs. I'm just wanting to make my legs into a kind of bowl, vessel, container shape, and then have them really well supported. So the pillows, if I put one on each side of me, are for my knees. And the cushions are because sometimes just the pillows aren't enough. So you can put 2 pillows either side of you, or a pillow and a cushion. They go under the hips. So feet together, knees open, and then laying back over your bolster or over your little stair step of blankets, putting as whatever you need so that your head's comfortable. And you can rest your arms out to the side, or you can bring the hands in over your lower belly. But here's advanced, this is now the advanced prop practice. You can get your pillows so they're low enough for your hips, but high enough for your elbows. And then your cushions can go under your hips as well. And then that's really good, efficient prop usage. So you've got your elbows on your pillows, hands on your lower belly. And crucially, no stretch here in the inner thigh. So if it's stretching there, get more pillows if you can. So this here at the hips feels really held. I have to say this posture isn't for everybody. So if you can't get it comfy, bend up your knees, plant your feet on the mat and rest like this, or with the legs straight. Or just very simple, put a pillow behind your knees. So everyone do their own faffing. Have a little play around with how you want to have the props. Experiment with hands in over the belly or hands out to the sides. If you have something you can use to cover your eyes, that's just so lovely for a lovely relaxation. If you are able, if you've still got a blanket left that you can put all the way over the top of you, even better. And we're all going to set up our little cocoons and practice relaxing, just being, not doing. So I'm going to come out of my little Easter cocoon and sit up. If you've got your stash of chocolate or sweet treats handy and you're able to just pop something in your mouth while you settle and relax, that is not a bad idea. Because we are once again going to connect with each of our senses as we settle for our relaxation. My whole lovely little stash here of eggs and dates. So if you have something to smell and taste, all the better. If you don't, it's okay. There's always something to attach your attention to. So it is of the utmost importance that you feel truly comfortable. So with restorative yoga, this is a restorative posture, a supported posture. You can, there's a kind of like optimum amount of faffing around time. And when you faffed around for a few minutes, you'll find you're either getting more and more comfortable or less and less comfortable. And if you're getting less and less comfortable and you can't seem to sort it out, and you know that there's a way of lying down and resting that you just feel brilliant, then please do that pose. So it is of the utmost importance for this practice of yoga nidra, conscious rest, that you are supremely comfortable. Spare no expense. More is more. If you've got it, use it. Support your hips, support your back, support your head. Cover yourself with a blanket, or if you don't have or you don't need a real blanket, then just imagine one. Cover yourself with a cloak of protection. Allow your eyes to close and rest down in their sockets. And enjoy a slow and centering breath. Aligning your attention with the center line of the body and slowly breathing in. And slowly breathing out with a feeling of letting go. Then watching as your breath settles and goes back to normal. See if you can watch your breath coming and going all by itself 2 or 3 times. And then again, enjoy a slightly longer, slower, deeper breath. So slow centering breath, slowly in and slowly out with a feeling of letting go. Letting go into all those areas of support. All those blankets, all those cushions, relaxing in your little nest, in your little cocoon, really safe and cozy, watching your breath settle back into its normal, natural pattern. Normal breath in, normal breath out. And then one more time in your own time when it feels just the right time. Again, aligning your attention with the center line of the body, enjoy a slow breath in. And a slow breath out, this time with a feeling of really arriving in this practice of Yoga Nidra. And know that in this practice of Yoga Nidra, there is nothing that you can do incorrectly. There's nothing to get wrong. There is, in fact, nothing to do, nothing to learn, nothing to prove, no one to please. And you can continue this practice with an intention to simply be at ease, to find ease, and to go inward, to let your awareness travel inward. So pay attention now to the shape and the form of the physical body. The position of the physical body. The contact between the body and the support. And the texture of your clothing or blankets against your skin. Pay attention to what you can hear. Listening out into the world around you and not blocking out any sounds, even if it's quite noisy where you are. Don't block anything out, just welcome everything in. And then pay attention to the sound closer by and even inside, sound of your breath. Any other sounds inside the body. Connect with your senses of smell and taste. And looking now into the space behind your closed eyes, visualize a little light. Could be a candle flame or simply a point of light. And focus your attention on that light, like you could pour all your awareness into that light. The light becomes a symbol of your ability to perceive. And then let this light settle on your forehead and move gently around the whole of the physical body, from the forehead, dropping down to the base of the throat. And now out into the right shoulder and down the right arm through the elbow and the wrist. Onto the back of the right hand, and then to the thumb and each of the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bringing the light of your attention to the palm of the right hand, and then back up through the wrist and the elbow, the shoulder, across to the base of the throat. And now over to the left shoulder and all the way down the left arm, through the elbow and the wrist, onto the back of the hand and the thumb and each of the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Settling the light of your attention in the palm of the hand, and then back up through the wrist and the elbow, the shoulder, back across to the base of the throat, and now down and into the space behind the breastbone, in the center of the chest. From here, looking out into the right side of the chest, back to the center, and then looking out into the left side of the chest, back to the center, and dropping down and in behind the belly button, and down and in behind the pubic bones, center of the pelvis. Now into the right hip, and letting the light of your attention travel down the right leg, through the knee and the ankle, to the top of the foot, and onto each of the toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into the sole of the foot, and back up through the ankle and the knee, to the hip, back onto the midline of the body at the center of the pelvis. And now into the left hip, and all the way down the left leg through the knee and the ankle, the top of the foot, each of the toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sole of the left foot, and back up again through the ankle and the knee and the hip, back onto the center line of the body, in the space just behind the pubic bones, the center of the pelvis. And allowing the attention to settle here a little while, so the whole of the pelvic space can be filled with the light of your attention. The whole of the pelvic space filled with light. And then let the attention move back up and in behind the belly button. And let the attention settle here for a little while. So the whole of the abdominal space may be filled with the light of your attention. The whole of the abdominal space filled with light. And now moving the attention up and into the space behind the breastbone, in the center of the chest. And allowing the attention to settle here a little while. So the whole of the heart space may be filled with the light of your attention. The whole of the heart space filled with light. And now bring the light of your attention back to the base of your throat and back up onto the forehead. And now all the way up onto the very top of the head. And from here, be aware of the whole body now. The whole body all together, all the way through, the whole body filled with the light of your attention. The whole body filled with light. Experience the whole body resting in this practice of yoga nidra, in which there's nothing to do incorrectly. There's nothing to do at all. In fact, there's nobody to please and nothing to learn. Experiencing the whole body resting and the whole body breathing. Whole body pulsating with light and with life. And then it's as if you could gather up all that light and vitality from all around the body, and with an exhalation, gather it in to the center. And then as you inhale, it's like you can spread it out, send it out and around the whole of the body, and further beyond if you wish. Exhaling, a feeling of gathering it all into the center. And inhaling, a feeling of opening it right out, spreading it out around the whole of the body and further beyond if you wish. So with the exhalation, a feeling of gathering or closing or drawing inward, of storing up energy, vitality. And then with an inhale, a feeling of opening, of expanding, transforming, moving outwards, alternating between those two quite opposite sensations, gathering in on the exhalation and opening up on the inhalation. And then see if it might be possible to experience those two opposite sensations both together at the same time. How might that feel for those both to be possible at the same time? The feeling of being gathered and focused and centered, while at the same time open and spacious and expansive. And now let go of those sensations and be aware again of the contact between your body and the support at your back, the support of your blankets, of your pillows, of your bolsters, of the earth. Feeling the touch sensation of the body resting in your little Easter cocoon. Feeling the texture of clothing and blankets against your skin. And the touch of your breath in your nostrils. And you may now like to begin to slightly deepen your breath. And as you do that, connect with your sense of smell. And then lick your lips or run your tongue along your teeth and connect with your sense of taste. Look into the space behind your closed eyes and picture clearly where you are. And you could see in your mind's eye yourself lying in your little nest, your little cocoon, what you look like, where you are, what the room is like, what your home is like, where you are, who else is with you. And then let your sense of hearing travel upwards and outwards and welcome in sounds from around your home, welcome in sounds from further afield, from the world outside your window. See how far and wide you can send out your sense of hearing. Listen for the furthest away sound. And then gather your attention right back in and listen for the sound of your own breath. And allowing for your breath now to get more noisy. Maybe you're yawning, maybe you're sighing. And listen out for the sound of the bell that will carry you back from Yoga Nidra, safe and sound. So allow the sound of the bell to carry you back safe and sound. Gently wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes. You may like to roll your head from side to side. You can yawn and stretch. If you have your feet together and your knees out to the sides, please consider using your hands to help you guide your knees back together. And you might give them a little rock or hug your knees a little to your chest. It is ideal after you've been lying down and resting to roll to one side before you sit up. So if you know that you would like to be rolling over and sitting up and moving on and doing other things now, then please do that. Roll to one side and then come up to sitting. If there's no particular reason that you need to get up and move on and do anything else right now, you might prefer just to stay lying down. For those that are ready to sit up and end this practice, I'd like to invite you to sit in some sort of upright position, kneeling, cross-legged, or sitting in a chair. And again, pause, reflect, see how that's all feeling. What are the sensations in your body as a result of these practices that we've done? Place the palms of your hands on your knees or your thighs, and then turn your palms away from your body. Place your attention in the palms of your hands. And then with an inhalation, bring the palms of your hands together. And exhaling, guide the joined palms into the center of your chest. Namaste.